Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, "It Finally Happened to Me," with a happy ending. I work in traffic management, so my uniform is navy pants and orange shirt covered in high-vis stripes. Stock standard tradie wear. This one particular day, last Friday, I'd decided to stop by the hardware store on the way home to pick up some bits and pieces for a wood project. In this hardware store, which may or may not rhyme with Wunnings Bear House, all the staff wear black pants, red t-shirts, and a green apron with the company name emblazoned in huge letters across the chest. This is in stark contrast to my fluoro-orange work gear, but not out of place, as many other tradies are wandering around doing their own shopping. Enter DIY Grandpa. He'd have to be at least 80, but plenty active by the looks of it. Judging by the contents of his trolley, he was building himself a garden shed, from scratch, no pre-assembled kit. I found him at the tool shop, peering hopelessly between a rack of drill bits, a small rivet in his hand. "Gee, you don't work here, do you? I can't see these bloody things like I used to." I think he already knew the answer before he asked, but it was worth a shot, I guess. Me, unfortunately not, but I might be able to help. What's up? "Gee, thanks mate, I'm just looking for the right size bit to fit this." He held the rivet up to me, and in what can only be described as my single greatest display of masculinity yet, I reached out and plucked a bit from the shelf that was the perfect size, 3.5mm if anyone cares. I held it up to the light and gave a few knowledgeable hymns before returning it to his hand. He thanked me, I grabbed the drill bit I needed, and we both headed off in the general direction of the registers. As it happened, DIY Grandpa's car was parked just opposite mine, so I helped him load up the heavy stuff, namely the 10 or so bags of concrete from the bottom of his trolley. Somehow during this, without me noticing, he disappeared back off to the front of the store with the fundraiser barbecue, and returned with a couple sausages in bread for us. He thanked me again for the assistance, left me with lunch, and continued off into the afternoon. The next story is titled, "Woman Threatens to Have Me Fired from a Store I Don't Work At." For some context, I work at a pretty popular grocery store in the Midwest that's based out of Iowa. Now when I say popular, I mean popular. The town I live in voted this grocery store as the best grocery store in the county for the 3rd year in a row, and this store opened in 2015. My uniform consists of a red polo with the company name embroidered in white, black dress pants and black shoes. Now to the story. This happened last night. I had just gotten off work, was still in my work uniform on my way home when I realized I forgot to get groceries after I clocked out. Instead of turning around to go back to the store, I decided to stop by Walmart since it was on the way back to my apartment and I only needed 2 things. I go into Walmart, pretty tired from my 9-hour shift. I work in a floral department, and since it's homecoming season, one spent my entire shift wrapping flowers and making corsages and all that fun stuff. It was very busy that day, and go to look for some bread to make French toast in the morning. I'm standing in front of the bakery looking for the right type of bread for a few minutes when I felt a tap on my shoulder and someone sighing heavily. When I turned around I saw her, Karen. She had the haircut, the makeup, the everything. "Me, can I help you?" "Karen, I've been standing here for minutes waiting for you to help me and you're just looking at bread. You are terrible at your job. Now help me find the toilet paper." "Me, ma'am, I don't work here. I work at a different store down the road. I'm just a customer." "Karen," she pauses for a second and looks at my shirt before huffing in my direction. "You're lying. That store would never have someone like you working for them. Take me to the toilet paper now." Me, at this point I'm starting to lose my patience. It's been a long day and I really did not want to deal with her attitude. "Ma'am, if I did work here, why would I be wearing the uniform of their #1 competitor in town?" "Karen, so you can get away with being a piece of lazy trash at work, but I won't stand for that. I'm getting your manager." Me, whatever lady. Karen storms off with her cart and I carry on with my shopping. I grab the bread I needed and a gallon of milk. I'm about to go to a checkout lane when I see Karen come barreling toward me with a manager in tow. Karen, her. This is the worker who is being very rude and isn't doing her job. Fire her. The manager gives me a confused look, noticing my polo that has the company name of the store I work at. Manager, ma'am, this girl doesn't work here. I've never seen her before, and I know all the workers on my night crew. And it's pretty obvious that she doesn't work here considering she has a polo for another grocery store. Karen, you both are liars. Is this how you treat your paying customers? I'm never shopping here again. The wild Karen storms off and the manager apologizes to me for the trouble and ended up giving my 2 groceries to me for free considering what just happened. The only reason I'm posting this now is because this morning before I went to my college classes I stopped by my store to cash a check at customer service and I told my co-worker about the story. The best part about this story? I had a feeling in my gut and asked to see the list of banned customers for our store. Guess whose picture was at top of the list? Karen. Apparently there were 3 recorded times where she left carts of frozen or cold products in front of the restaurant connected to the store containing hundreds of dollars worth of product for hours, and then just leave the store without paying for it. I'm talking about expensive steaks, crab legs, lobster, large cheesecakes, milk, etc. All of this product had to be thrown away because it was no longer safe for consumption. After the 3rd time of this happening, she was banned from my store. I guess I'm lucky. Even though she knows where I work, she can't legally enter the store. The next story is titled, No, I am not his manager, I'm the security guard. A short but sweet incident happened while at work. I normally arrive and park in the customer parking at work and walk in wearing my security uniform, grey business shirt, logo, security in large letters on the back. As I walk in I see the manager dealing with a small group of patrons. EP, patron, M, me. EP walks up to me and begins. EP, your staff member here needs to be punished. He is racist and refusing to serve us. EP has a slurred voice, none of her party appear sober. M, right, hold on. I go to talk to the manager. Refusal of service, offensive behavior, etc, etc, etc. I walk back to EP. EP, well? M, well, I am the security guard, it says on my shirt, he is the manager of this establishment. He has refused you service under the Alcohol Act and I am asking you to leave. Refusal to leave will result in police attendance and a $5,462 fine. EP, so you're not his manager? M, no. EP, you should change your uniform then. M, you should read what the shirt says before making assumptions. Have a good night. The next story is titled Aisle 19, halfway down, middle shelf on the left side. I took a day off from work to finish some DIY projects around the house and of course that means at least one trip to the big blue home store for supplies, in this case, deck screws. I'm wearing jeans, work boots and a green t-shirt. I'm standing in the aisle surrounded by thousands of options for deck screws looking for the right one when I hear a demanding, screechy voice, "Excuse me, I need some help." I look up to see a middle-aged, soccer mum type holding a large Ziploc bag with a water filter element in it. I don't work here. I don't have time for games, just tell me where these are. Now, I have no idea where the filters are or if the store even carries them, but I absolutely don't want to get sucked into this lady's reindeer games, so I just say, the filters are in aisle 19, halfway down, middle shelf on the left side, just match the numbers and you'll be fine. Quote. Can you show me? No, my boss says if I leave here before I'm done, that's it, I'll be fired. Oh, okay. Really, just match the numbers on the filters and you'll be fine. And off she goes. I get a box of the screws I need and head for the register. I make the transaction and I'm heading for the door when I hear, that's him. He's the one that told me aisle 19. I hear the manager reply, ma'am, that guy doesn't work here. I just keep going, get in my truck and head home to finish my deck. The next story is titled, Then Why Are You Stacking the Shelves? So today I went to a Tesco, British supermarket chain, to do some shopping. If you don't know, their uniforms are blue and red, and I was wearing a green coat and jeans. I picked up some cereal, but accidentally knocked a couple of cereal boxes onto the floor. As I was picking them back up and putting them back on the shelves, this older woman walked up to me, shoved a box of tea bags under my nose and barked, "Are these on offer?" I shrugged and said, "I don't know, sorry." She huffed and said, "Can't you ask your manager?" I replied, "What? I don't work here." And she said, "Then why are you stacking the shelves, then?" She grinned smugly and folded her arms, like she'd just caught me out. I just said, "Because I knocked them down," and started walking away. She followed me, ranting about how rude I was to her and how she was going to get me fired. I just ignored her, while silently laughing at how stupid she was because it was completely obvious that I was a customer. She eventually stormed off somewhere. I don't know whether she attempted to complain about me or she finally saw that I didn't work there or what, but I didn't see her again. The next story is titled, "Do I Look Like I Work Here?" Wait, don't answer that. So, a bit about me. For several years, I worked for a local railroad on the East Coast. I shared a story about an incident at this railroad in another subreddit, and that reminded me of a rather funny story from my time working for the company. Okay, so a little background here. The industrial railroad section I operated served a rather large port, and a handful of smaller, relatively speaking, building materials companies, including a couple of those big box types, Big Blue, and Big Orange. About once a week, I was tasked with putting a carload or two, sometimes three, of lumber and various large building materials in a siding that ran up to a dock behind one of the two big box stores, I think it was Big Orange, but don't hold me to that, and alongside the parking lot. Since we operated with a RCO, remote control operation, system, I would often find myself standing in odd places watching the movement of the train while I got things positioned and whatnot. My uniform is key to the story. Battered blue jeans, steel-toe boots, long-sleeved shirt, hard hat, sunglasses, and most importantly of all, a bright reflective vest which I wore over the shirt. Oh, and the belt pack, which had all the controls for the train, slung over my chest hanging at the belt area. So, I looked nothing like the usual employee of this particular store. One hot summer day, I found myself fighting with a car whose pin simply refused to drop. Got stuck up, and no amount of shaking it, or cursing was going to change that. So, being the intrepid sort, I decided that some percussive maintenance was in order. Yeah, I was going to beat the snot out of the thing, that would teach it a lesson. Heading into the store, I made my way to the hardware area to find the heaviest small sledgehammer I could. That's where the stupidity begins, and it only gets worse. SC, stupid customer, M, me, PD, cops. I head down to pick up the hammer I need, only to have a lady poke me in the shoulder. SC, where are the spanners? M, span, O, wrench. You mean wrenches? I don't know, around here somewhere. SC, well, where around here? M, don't know, probably next aisle over. With that I turned and walked off, the lady not impressed by such action it would seem. SC, aren't you going to show me? You have to show me. M, no, I don't. Find someone that actually works here, they can help you. I figured that was that, though the lady kept following me up front. I paid with my card, took the hammer and started walking back through the store in the direction of the dock area, an area off limits to customers I might add. The whole time, this lady kept following me, and repeating over and over again the mantra of, SC, you have to help me. This quickly evolved into, SC, if you don't help me, I'm getting you fired. I really didn't care at this point, walking out onto the dock and then down to track level. I overheard something of a commotion behind me and only caught some snippets of it. I assume that it was a manager of some sort explaining I didn't work there, but I honestly don't know. It took a good 15 minutes of banging away on the pin to finally get it to drop. That meant I was all set to go. Right. Oh, wait. Turning to climb from between the cars, I come face to shoe with a pair of police officers looking down at me with some very severe looks, and a couple employees watching me curiously. The cops looked ready to shoot me, smack me, or just put a good beat down on me, when one spoke. PD, leave the hammer where it is, and come up here to explain just what you were doing. M, my job. I work for railroad name. PD, aha, not sounding like he believed it. And what were you doing there? M, rusty coupling pin. I had to hammer it back into place. PD, we got a report about someone vandalizing or breaking railroad property. At this point, I pointed to the letters on my vest that spelled out the railroad's name, the belt control pack I was wearing, and produced my company identification. Even made the hornblatt for them with the belt control pack. This seemed to satisfy the officers, who turned and walked in the direction of where a couple of the employees were, and the lady from before. I didn't hear what they said, but from the way the lady scuttled away, I got the impression that the officers had, as we say where I'm from, put the fear of God in her. So, yeah. Lady assumes I work for the big box place, then realizes I don't. In an effort to get some petty revenge on me, she calls the cops on me. It's not very effective. The next story is titled, Selma Hayek Doesn't Work Here Kid. This was years ago, but still makes me laugh to this day. This isn't about how someone mistakenly thought I was an employee, but instead is how I mistakenly thought an Academy Award-nominated actress was an usher, server. My cousin used to be a producer for the Academy Awards, and so my family would get to attend the rehearsals. We'd get to meet celebrities, watch the music performances for their sound checks and camera blocking, and watch them do the pre-taped awards segments. Not only were the rehearsals for the speech givers and performers, but also for the staging, lights, sound, camera crews, ushers, etc. to run through the various parts of the live show. Ushers, who sometimes doubled as pseudo-wait staff, often came in their business attire, and celebrities came in their street clothes. Well, I was a teenager and somewhat clueless of who some of these celebrities were. I was hungry and thirsty and tapped on the female usher next to me to ask her if she could get me some water and a snack. She was wearing a black pants suit with a white button-up shirt. She very politely told me she was sorry, but she didn't work there. Now this is where it gets awkward. An older woman overheard me and says to me something along the lines of, "Don't you know who that is? That's Selma Hayek, and she's nominated this year for Best Actress. She's busy and can't get you some water." Now it sounds like this woman was being rude, but she wasn't. We even talked for a bit after she informed me who Selma Hayek was. She also walked me over to the green room with the snacks and drinks, so I didn't have to ask anyone later. Now I thanked her, and then assumed she was part of the crew because she walked off with my cousin after that. After she walked away is when my cluelessness winds up in the spotlight. Another woman comes up to me and says, "Wow. You two chatted for a long time, so what did you and Meryl talk about?" I'm dead. I thought Selma Hayek was an usher and Meryl Streep was just some random crew person. Luckily they were both very, very nice, so it's a funny and only mildly traumatizing memory. Long story short, no, Selma Hayek and Meryl Streep didn't work there. The next story is titled, I was fired by a guy the first won't work for. I work as a utility sub-metering technician on new construction projects for residential buildings. It's essentially my job to program meters in each suite and supervise the work done by our contracted-out electricians. So last year I arrived at this new site on my own. Our company is small and I am usually working independently. Because it's my first time on site, I have to go through site orientation conducted by the site supervisor, SS. My company has lots of new projects throughout the year, so I am constantly going to new sites and taking part in many safety orientations. This one was no different, and I was hearing the same safety regulations I've heard countless times before. Anyways, I was half asleep when going through my orientation, as it was 7 AM and I usually start work at 9 AM if I don't have to do a site orientation. There were a few other general laborers, GLs, doing the orientation with me at the same time who I did not know. As the SS was going through the safety regulations, he stopped and asked us if we were all GLs who worked for Company X. Everyone except for myself nodded along. Because I was sleepy, I was only half paying attention and made the mistake of not speaking up and saying I did not work for Company X. Fairly unprofessional of me to not show up to work 100% awake, but hey, I'm human. After the orientation, the construction foreman, CF, for Company X walked in and the SS told everyone that the CF was the guy everyone had to report to. GLs come and go all the time, and Company X was a large contractor, so it's not totally unreasonable that the CF wouldn't have met the GLs at this particular project before. So everyone exits the site office where the orientation was being held, and all the GLs gather around the CF to be given assignments. Just basic crap like having to carry a bunch of material from one place to another. As the CF is giving these assignments to the GLs, I am standing about 15 feet away with my notebook quietly going over some project drawings. After the CF is done giving assignments to all the GLs, he walks up to me and in sort of a semi-aggressive way tells me that it's very rude of me to not pay attention to him when he's giving out work assignments. He goes on to say that I have made a poor first impression with him. Next he tells me to go help this other GL unload some material from a pallet, and then walks away before I have any time to clear up the misunderstanding. In his defense, all the GLs are young looking and I was 23 at the time, and many people say I have a baby face, so I can see how he would think I am a GL. Around 1 hour later I am inside an electrical room working on setting up the layout of our main panel while on the phone with my electrician, and the CF walks by and notices me. He walks in and yells, "Are you ducking kidding me? When you were finished unloading the pallets you were supposed to come to me for the next assignment. You don't just go wandering off to do something else." Kind of weird because I never did do the work he told me to do earlier. I reply in an honestly somewhat frightened voice, "Please stop harassing me, sir, can't you see I am on the phone?" That really seemed to set him off because he then tried to grab my phone out of my hand. He is seriously pissed at this point. Next he tells me that he's had enough and that I am relieved of my duties. He told me to notify the SS that I will be going home now. As he's just about to walk out of the room, he notices on the back of my safety vest the name of the company I actually work for. Stumbling his words he goes, "Wait, were you one of the guys John, random name, sent here for the week?" I replied, "No, I work for the utility metering company here." He then goes, "Or duck me," and walks out of the room. The electrician, who was still on the line, started laughing because I guess he heard the whole thing. I wasn't laughing along with him though. I was kind of scared at that point. I've never been fired from anywhere before. Definitely not how I wanted to start my morning, having a 50-plus-year-old homeless looking fellow yell at me and try to snatch my phone. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.